Hey, welcome back to another tutorial. This one's going to be a little bit more involved since we're not working within the game, we're actually modifying the game. Now thankfully the modding community has given us a relatively easy way to do that without having to go deep into Unity coding in C#. But there is still a little bit of required knowledge before we start getting into things. Okay, let's say while you're making your character, you have an accessory that you want on them that you can't really recreate or approximate using retexturing and things like that. Your only other option is to mod it in. How do you go about doing that? Well, you're going to need what they call an FBX file. Now this is a 3D model file that includes materials and can have textures on it. You can make this yourself using Blender or some other similar software. Or if you already have one that you found on the web, we can work with that. If you want to create your own FBX with Blender, that's just, you're just, at that point, you're just getting into just regular 3D modeling, which there's plenty of tutorials on. I'd recommend going and watching that donut tutorial by, I think Blender Guru made that. Say you already have your FBX file. What do you need to put that into Koikatsu? So you're going to need a couple of things. You're going to need Unity 5.6.2, which you can get from this website here. It is unity3d.com/get-unity/download/archive. And here you can download old versions of Unity. So we'll just go Unity 5.6.2 right here. You can download it just standalone, or you can get the hub version. I just got the standalone. Doesn't matter. Next thing you're going to need is this Unity project called Koikatsu Modding Tools, made by Deathweasel. Koikatsu Modding Tools is basically a workspace for you to set up mods for Koikatsu. So what we need to do is download this, go to download zip or something like that. You'll get a folder. And then what you want to do is in Unity 5.6.2, you're going to want to open that folder. When you open up the Unity thing, you can hit open, and you're just going to select a folder. So you just select Koikatsu Modding Tools Master and select folder, and it'll open just like that. Another thing that would do a lot of good is this thing called SB3 utility right here. GitHub Inimero SB3 utility. And SB3 utility is a program for opening .unity3d files to modify them after they've already been built and compressed. It's good for when you want to make those changes after the fact and not have to rebuild everything if there's just a small change you want to make. And it's also good for learning things about the way that Koikatsu mods are structured and for exporting models to use for reference. So here's what we want to do. We're going to open up Koikatsu Modding Tools in Unity. So this is what you're going to come across when you open up Koikatsu Modding Tools Master. I want you to check out the examples folder. Now here is where you can get a little tutorial built into the thing on how to make just about every type of mod that you would want to make. The body paint, clothing, head type, how to make H maps, you know, for the H scenes. Okay, so the ones I use the most are studio item, accessory, and I've been getting into clothes very slowly, but you know, it's a learning process. So what we want to do, I think, is just open in Explorer, the examples folder, and we want to copy the accessory example into the mods folder. So you've seen some of my other projects here. So we just want to paste this in there so that we can modify the example to make our mod. All right, so what are we making? Well, I've noticed this dinky little accessory on Daisy's tennis outfit that I have for a long time I've wanted to replace with a proper flower emblem looking thing. So what I'm going to do is call it flower emblem. And here we go. So if we just go into here, we can actually view this folder inside of Unity. It's going to be a lot easier. So let's go back to assets. Let's go into mods. Flower emblem, the folder we just made, or we just copied and renamed. So here's what we start out with. Now, the cool thing about Koikatsu modding tools is that it's pretty much organized so that all you would have to do to create the mod is click build asset bundles, build zip mod, and then you will be able to drag or drop that into your game and see if it works. So because of that workflow, you have all these different folders to put stuff in. The only one I've noticed that you really need to worry about is the list folder. You want to make sure that you don't move things out of the list folder. Just make sure that's still there, all right? The rest of this stuff you can kind of just like disregard what folder it's in, but I mean, it's good to stay organized anyway. So let's dive into this. So we have our flower FBX. Let me get it up. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me just show you what it looks like inside of Blender. All right, so we have this flower model, right? This is going to go on Daisy's chest when we get it into the game. So here's what we do. We have this right here with the texture and the material and the model. So we have just exported this as an FBX into its own folder. So I'm just going to go to that folder on Windows and drag it into Unity. So we just go into the mesh folder. It was a good place to drop it. And then I just navigate to where I saved it. So all we really need to worry about is the model itself and the texture that it needs. So let's just drag in, let's just drag both of these into this folder. So it's gonna import real quick, and we will be able to see it in here. There it is. I think it already applied the texture. Good job. I was gonna show you dragging in the texture, but I guess it already did that. Oh well. But so we have our thing, our little model. It's in this window. Now, problem with this is materials. The default Unity material is the standard shader. So the shader is how it chooses to light up the object, right? So we want to give it the same shaders that is in the game itself and not just default Unity. So what this modding tools project comes with is a list of shaders that are in Koikatsu itself. So we can go in here and say, I think the easiest thing would be main alpha. Yeah, that'll do. So Shader Forge main alpha is good for when you just have a straight texture that you want to just have it display on. No colors or anything just yet. We'll get to that. But yeah, so that's what it ends up. It looks weird in Unity, but actually in the game it looks fine. So yeah, Shader Forge main alpha was a good choice there. We can also change these. So I don't know if you've ever looked into material editor, but there's this RimV thing. It's kind of a meme on the Discord. The RimV, freaking always turn it off. No one wants it. People have made mods that completely get rid of RimV. So yeah, you can set your default parameters and stuff. Default shadow color. I'm good with gray. Actually, gray works for most colors in the game, so that's good. You can change, shadow extend if there's like shadow detail textures and stuff. Okay, let's go back. So we have our little model here, and we've got the texture on it, we've got the material applied. So how do we get it into Koikatsu? So that's where we need to make sure we've made our prefab. We don't have the model ready to go just yet, because there's some things we need to do to it in order to let Koikatsu read and work with it. So we just need to drag this into the space here, and it's just sitting there. We can set it to be at the location 0. We reset the position to 0, and so we need to set up the proper hierarchy structure that Koikatsu uses for accessories. Yeah, we can just save the scene. Doesn't matter. Just save it in the mods thing there, just for future reference. We want to make the hierarchy structure, so we're just gonna create an empty object just to use as a parent. So what we're gonna call it is flower emblem. I guess we can just call it that. And then inside of here, we want to make another one. And we want to call that... this is very specific. You need to call this N_move. Pretty sure it's exactly that. Let's go into prefabs. Okay, capital N. Capital N_move. And then you just need to make sure the emblem is in there. Or, I mean, just whatever your accessory is. So the model is... Okay, so we have an empty here. We're going to reset the transform on that because, yes. Empty in here. N_move here. And then emblem here. I might actually rotate this 90. Because, you know, when you position it on the character, you want it to, like, be right side up. Okay. So we want to add some components here. So Koikatsu needs some components to work. So let's do I think it's an accessory component. This is the only one we need for this one for right now. Later on you can add components for physics and stuff like that, but for now we'll just stick with accessory bro. Size so okay. Rend normal, we want to set the size to 1 because this is going to be basically every individual model that we have in our accessory. We want to have a part of this list, right? So you can set the list size to 2, size to 3, depending on what your needs are. I just need 1, so I'm just going to drag. So you should drag emblem or you know whatever your accessory name is into this here, and it will link it up. And we don't really need to use any colors for this for the moment, so I think we're pretty much good to go. Everything else can be default. It's not really a hair modifier, so yeah, there we go. So our component is all set up, easy as that. So then what we just do is go into the prefab folder, and let's just take the top thing here and then drag it down there. So what that did was that turned this entire little branch here into a prefab like this. So that means that this can be imported into any Unity scene and it will behave exactly as it does here, which is very important. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention. We need to figure out how big this thing's supposed to be, right? Because for all we know, this thing could be freaking Godzilla size, and then our little character is like down here, like just standing, just looking at this behemoth of a thing. All right, so what we need to do is get a character in here for size reference. Best way to do that is with our good buddy SB3 utility. So we have that. It actually comes, I think, with better repack. So yeah, it's its own thing. Basically, it's right here. You can start that up. What I've done is I've made it so that every Unity 3D file opens with SB3 utility by default. To get our character for reference, we are going to go into specifically AB data, Kara, and then we just go down all the way to the bottom. We go to OO base. We just I'm double clicking it. You just open that. Open. So in this program, we have a lot of things to look at. What I want you to focus on is this window here. This is the object we just opened. So we want to just take out this is a character model. So we just want to take out the character as an FBX just for size reference. So we're just going to open up 00, just double click it. And we just need to, I think, just open this. If you've ever looked at the skeleton structure of Koikatsu characters, these two are going to look familiar. So we just open this, and then we can do, I think, N body? Yeah, okay. And then O body A, there we go. So this is how we get a hold of this character model. I don't know if I need to blur that for YouTube. Maybe not, maybe I do. I don't know. Because nips or whatever. So then what we can do is over on the side here, let's just set it to FBX 2020. We can click export, so we can export that. There we go. Started exporting. Okay, so what that should have done is in our folder here, our AB data car folder, if we go to the top, it should have in OO base, body OO, meshes 0 to FBX. That is going to be our character model that we can use for size reference. All right, so all I want to do is just go into, I guess mesh is a good place to put it. Just drag that in, and then drag that into the window, and then reset the size, reset the position. So as you might have guessed, this is the size of the character compared to the the accessory. So if we were to put this in the game without checking the size, we would have had a... Okay, I think we would have been confused because it doesn't show up when you're that close to the character. So let's just go to this model, emblem. I'm just going to hit the scale factor. We're going to do, let's do like 100th, so 0.01, something like that. Click apply. We're getting closer. All right. For some reason, it doesn't look like it's on the same spot. Reset. Still a little too big. So maybe 0.05. So half as big as that. Still a little bit too big. So let's go with 0.02. See what that looks like. We're getting there. 0.005. Just basically got to play with that number until it looks about right. So there we go. So just to see, this is getting very close. We can do just maybe a little bit less, like 0.002, and then yeah, that's about what we want. That's about what we want. We've adjusted the size. Let's just put this back to 0, just to... Oh, right. I wanted that rotation to be 90. There we go. So let me just set the prefab back to where it was. Just drag it in. So if you make any changes, you can just drag it back into the thing, and it'll just update. So we have our little model. So now the model is ready to go. It's ready to be in the game. So how do we get it there? So what we want to do is tell the modding tools to put this in a specific folder. How do we do that? So we go down to this asset bundle thing. We already have our own little hierarchy here. There's some examples, right? This is what the examples use. So we just need to put it in the... This is just for good organization. You don't have to put it in here, but it's definitely good to do so. Okay, so we're going to make our own folder up for this emblem for organization purposes. You want to make sure you don't want to put it in anything that's already made. So Kara / your username or something unique / then a unique name. So I'm just going to call it flower emblem .unity 3D. Boom. So we just did that. So we just did this. We just made a new thing. We did Kara Koik Daisy flower emblem .unity 3D. So that's going to tell Unity when you start building things to place this basically in that as a folder. So we're going to do that for everything we need. For now, right now, we don't have a thumbnail ready to go. We could just use this as a thumbnail, I guess, if you wanted to. Just copy this, use that as our thumbnail. I'm just going to do that just for the sake of this. Ha 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 ha. You didn't see shit. All right. So let's just do that just for the sake of the tutorial. You can make your own pretty looking thumbnail if you want to make it square. So, you know, like 200 by 200. There we go. Yeah, it looks like garbage. I know. It doesn't matter. It's just for the tutorial. All right, so we're just going to save this as a PNG because that's one of the 3 things you're going to need. I mean, you can already just use this for a placeholder if you want to. Also, notice that this already has the tag applied to it. So it is Kara Illusion Mods, example accessory thumb. I've organized mine into models, and then there's a thumb folder, and then I use that. So it's just however you want to organize your stuff inside of there. But it's definitely good to at least go to Kara and then your username to start with for organization. All right, so we're just gonna go with this flower thumb. Okay, so Kara / Koik Daisy / thumb / flower emblem .unity 3D. So that's gonna go Kara Koik Daisy thumb flower emblem .unity 3D. So that's going to be its own little file for our thumbnail. That's how I like to organize that. So here's what we want to do. We want to take off the tags for these example items because it's just gonna clutter up our folder later. So take these off. Oh yeah, and here is where we can change our manifest. So this is going to be our mod title and all of that. So we want to change this to what we have. Koikdaisy dot flower emblem. Flower emblem. Author, me. Description, I don't care. You know what it is. Alright, so then we just do our website. Twitter/com. Okay, keep it together. There we go. And the game is Koikatsu. So with that filled out, it's going to use that to name our mod for us. Okay, so we have our model ready to go. Right here. In Prefab. And it's set up the way we want it. We have the, structure. And we have our thumbnail ready to go. Which is right here. Next thing we need is the list file, which is probably the most important part. So let's do, alright, I'm going to rename this to flower, I'm just going to call it my name flower emblem, just to make that clear. Notice there is no organization on this. You don't need to put organization on the list file because it's kind of special. So we just want to open this in our favorite text editor. Here is where we get into the actual nuts and bolts of how Koikatsu figures out your mod in relation to everything else in the game. So what we want is to give our thing a specific ID, a unique ID. I would just pick a random number that hasn't been tried before. If it has been tried before, that sucks. But then you just pick another random number. So you need a unique ID. Let me go check. So the latest thing I have chosen is 74224. Let's just have another one. 74225. Unique ID. Kind. Possess. Gotta be honest, I have no clue what these do. I usually just leave those alone. Then the name. Here is what it's going to appear as in-game. Here is what the name of the thing is going to be. So this is where you want to spell it the most correct way. So I'm just going to do flower emblem. There we go. So that's the name. Let me explain a little bit. This is just basically for your reference. It is a list of fields. And this down here is what they all are equal to. It's kind of confusing, but yeah. So we have the name filled out here. The next thing is called main manifest. This is usually left empty. Basically leave it blank. I don't really. I've never done anything but leave it blank, so just leave that blank. Here is the model. So main AB is going to be the file that your model is located in, from here to here. So in our case, that would be, if we go back to where the model is, here, that would be kara/koikdaisy/floweremblem.unity3d. That's what we need to type in there. kara/koikdaisy/flower emblem.unity3d. So that means it's going to find it right there. Make sure you spell that correctly. All the capitals and lowercases as well. All right. Main data is going to be the name of the object in your hierarchy. So the name here is flower emblem. It's the name of whatever the highest item is. So flower emblem, spelled exactly like that. So if we go into here, you get the idea. Flower emblem, like that. So that's the name of main data. Parent. This is cool. All right. So you know how with accessories, in the accessory menu, you can choose what part of the body the accessory is attached to. So the item here, default, is the top of the head, but you can change this to anything. I want to change it to the chest, or the quote-unquote throat. So what we go is to figure out what bone you want to attach it to, you can actually go up and open Kara Studio, go into an advanced KKPE, have a character ready to go, and then you can just search A_N_. You can use the search bar to find any bone in the entire character, by the way. So, like this here, it's helpful to just like know where things are attached. So this here, we can attach it to anything. So we want to attach the goddamn emblem to the throat, I think is what it's called, somewhere around here. Bust, maybe bust F. Oh, maybe it's bust F. I think it's that. Yeah. Okay, so A_N_bust_F. There we go. So that's what it's going to attach to by default. So now we need to tell it where the thumbnail is located. So this is basically the same as the model, except we just, go to where we have the thumbnail. And we use this instead. Kara Koikatsu thumb flower emblem. Okay. So Kara Koikatsu thumb/flower emblem. There we go. And in the same way, the very next one, we want to name it the same thing that we have our texture named as. So that's going to be called flower thumb, all lowercase. I'm terrible with consistency. Flower thumb. Good thing it just needs you to be consistent with what you have put down instead of just consistent over whatever. So we're almost done here. The only thing is this number here. So this number at the top is going to tell you what menu the item will show up in. If you want to put it in the... Here, I'm going to show you what I mean. So if we go to accessories, alright, so what we're looking at here is this number here pertains to which of these menus it shows up in. So 121, I'm going to presume that it's hair, assuming the feather is in this menu. Let me check. Feather. Yes, okay, the feather is in this menu. That looks fucking stupid. So, the hair menu is 121. Now, this doesn't work for everything, but I think for accessories it does work this way. We can just go down the list. So I want it to be on the torso. So we have 121 is right here. So 122, 123, 124, 125 would be torso. It doesn't work not all the time, it doesn't work that way, but for accessories I think it does. So 125, and then we save. Alright, so I think we have everything set up in this list the way we want it to. So let's close out of here. And I just remembered something. Alright, if we go into here, before we export this, the model is still not done yet. Alright, so the thing about the model is you need to make sure it specifies the Kara layer because it's an accessory and it appears on the character. So you want it to be able to cast shadows and stuff like that. So there you go. Make sure the layer is Kara and change all the children. For God's sake, change the children. So now everything is all set up. We have our thing named the way we want it. And prefab is good to go. Thumbnail is good to go. We should be able to build this. We changed the manifest. Can't think of anything else to change. Obviously, if we run into an issue, then we'll figure it out. But for now, we're just going to build this. So the way you export this into the game is we just click Build Asset Bundles and make sure you click Yes just to reset the folder. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all the things you've done so far and it's going to package them into a folder structure that you can then turn into a zip mod. So it's building asset bundles. And it's going to do some like shader compiling and stuff like that, which is cool, I guess. You'll know it's done once this has disappeared and everything's kind of not doing anything. Go back into our Koikatsu Modding Tools Master, and this time we want to go into the build folder, and we're going to see an AB data folder. That sounds familiar. So we go in here. So all of our folders all of our assets are here. So if we go to Kara, and this is looking familiar, Koikatsu, and there it is, flower emblem.unity3d. So it's here, it's built, right? It's just not in a zip mod just yet. So all you have to do is click build zip mod, and then it'll spit out this thing. We have our Kara, Quick Daisy, flower emblem, and then our thumbnails right there. And then our list is here, and it's going to have all that information we just inputted, and it's all good to go. So once we have this, let's cut and paste it into our mods folder inside of Koikatsu. So just go to the base game folder, go into mods. I like to organize mine. You can just paste it in here, but I'm going to put it into here just to keep it organized. There it is. Alright, so now let's restart the game and see if it shows up where we want it and if it's functioning properly and all of that. Because there is a very high chance that it's not, because life isn't fair. Yeah, I've had a lot of rage moments where I did something wrong and couldn't figure it out. So I was just literally going back and forth looking at things until I found this like one little place I forgot to put a comma or something like that, and it just ruined my life. But you know, once it actually gets to the point where it works and you understand why it works, then you're like untouchable. Go to torso, see if we find it in the list. It should appear right there. There it is. Flower emblem. Open that. So I think... Did I miss it? Okay. Let's see if it's... Yeah, it's right there. I don't see it. Oh. Oh my god. I think I know what's wrong. I think I know exactly what's wrong. When you set up your character model, you want to make the scale factor 100. I forgot to say that. I just forgot about that. So, if it's 100, then that means that this thing needs to be multiplied by 100. So just take 2 zeros out of this decimal, 0.02, and apply. That is how big it should be. There's some weird scaling things. I think it has to do with the SB3 utility. Bone size, I don't know. Something in here is not scaling properly. But so let me just do, I just fixed that. So let's just build asset bundles again, and then build zipmod again, and try that whole thing again. See, this is the process you go through. You want to investigate very thoroughly to find out exactly what is going wrong. So make note of everything that is happening that shouldn't happen, and everything that isn't happening that should happen, and where in the process you might have messed up. This console here is going to tell you a lot about errors. So make sure you're looking at this. Yeah. And then we just want to replace the file and see if this works. Alright, so we can do torso. Okay, and then right there. Ah, and it shows up, and it looks good. There we go. We have now modified an object to fit into the game. We can scale it. We can move it around. So let's see how this looks on Daisy herself. There we go. And so that looks a lot better, but you know, it'd be great if I could adjust the color a little bit because it looks kind of bright. What I could do is modify the texture, you know, go into here, export the texture, modify it. But you know, it would be great if I could have like some color options, like, let me show you, like here, you know, you can just change the color to anything you want. We can actually modify this just a bit to show you. I can show you how to make objects that are colorable. So if we go back here, all we have on this item in the materials is a texture, but actually you can use a different shader to get colorable textures. So let's go to shader, let's go change this to shader forge main item, and there you have color 2 and color 3 right there. So how does it know what parts to color what? So here's where, okay, so we have this one texture, which works just fine, but we want to change it a little bit. All right, so let's drag these two textures in. All right, so explanation. This texture here is what will be multiplied by whatever color is here. So what I usually do is just, make that white, because anything times 1 is itself. So if I were to use this texture, you know, and I wanted to change that green to some other color, it would try to mix the new color with that green. We want it to mix with white so that it's a pure color. So we just drag this into the main text, so that by default it's just pure white. But then we go down here to where it says color mask, and so we drag this special color mask texture into here, and already you can see it's trying to apply the colors. The way color masks work is parts that are red on the model are using color 1, as you can see. Parts that are yellow are using color 2, and parts that are magenta, which magenta isn't on this image because I only needed 2 colors. If I wanted, let's see, if I wanted magenta, this is pure magenta right here. So anything that is this color in this image would be color 3. So changing the colors here won't have any effect. This is just for show. What we want to do is change the default colors on our prefab. So we go to our flower emblem here. So here's where we got our colors. So we want to use color 1 and 2. And so color 1 is going to be the flower color. I'm just going to make it white. Color 2 is going to be our inside color, which by default I want it to be like this kind of aqua green looking. So this is going to be our default colors. So essentially it's going to look the same. It's just that you can now change the color. So back to the material. Oh, that's the wrong folder. Material here. So none of these colors are going to apply. These here are going to get replaced with these. Let's just export this again. So we build the asset bundles, build AB data, there it is. So we're just gonna build zip mod, flower emblem, replace that again. Make sure the game is closed before we do that. Click that. There we go. It looks like the color is slightly different, so I think it applied. Also, I think I didn't change the rim V yet, which is kind of cringe. So now we can just change the color to whatever the heck we want. We want it to be yellow, we can make it yellow. We can make it indigo, and a little bit of blue. So that, I think in a nutshell, I'm trying to think of anything else I would want to talk about. Yeah, I'm gonna modify her clothes to be a little bit brighter colored. I think I tried to go for a realism thing, like where I'm like, oh, no colors or no clothes have this bright of a color. I think I want to go back on that, make the clothes a little brighter. But yeah, I hope this helped. So that's basically how you import a model into Koikatsu as a accessory. Basically, that's how I made her hairstyle. That's how I gave her physics-based hair. These little ponytails in the back. That is how I did a lot of things, actually. You can follow my social media if you want. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Discord. I'm on the Koikatsu Discord a lot, so you can ping me in there if you want. If you need anything, comment. Thank you for watching. Hope I clarified some things. See you next time. I'm gonna go to sleep now. I'm like losing my freaking mind, dude. I can't even say goodbye properly. Okay.